We're fortunate enough to have, from the state high school champion, North Shore High School, we signed 3 young men out of there, which is really outstanding because that is a great football school. We had DeRiggi, offensive tackle, Phillips, an offensive guard, and then we had Murphy, a defensive back. Really outstanding young people, outstanding character, great academic students. Looking forward to working with these young men. Jeremiah Credit, undersized guy, but I tell you what, he's probably one of the fastest guys that you'll see on the football field. And he will be exciting playing wide receiver and special teams for us out of Brazosport High School. Offensive tackle, Nate Thompson out of Saxe High School. All right, Malik Webb out of Skyline in Dallas, Texas, cornerback. We tried to get him to play wide receiver, but we gave him a choice and he decided that he was going to play defensive back. Tyler Cook, interesting story, out of Richardson High School, but he had gone over to Salisbury Prep in Salisbury, Connecticut. Worked out with Tim Brown over the summer, over the Christmas holidays. Tim Brown called us up, sent us over a huddle of it. We watched the huddle, had a chance to visit with the young man, and we offered him. What a great opportunity. His father had asked him to send his video over to another school, and Tim said, oh, no, I can't do that. I got to send that to my brother over at TSU. And what a great opportunity it is for us because he's an outstanding young man. He can play tailback, he can play the slot, kickoff returner, outstanding person, outstanding player. Cameron Davis, everyone knows him from Madison High School from 2 years ago. Went over to Arkansas Baptist Community College, has done a tremendous job in becoming a better football player, and we signed him as our junior college quarterback. Nick Anderson, wide receiver, Arizona American Community College, has done a tremendous job. He's originally from Dallas, Lancaster High School. We signed him as a wide receiver, so we have increased our wide receiver pool. We go Michael Minner out of Byrd High School in Shreveport, Louisiana. I think this is the steal of all steals. He plays nose guard, he plays defensive end, he plays outside linebacker. Transferred from Evangel High School. Brian Dawson over there, who we recruited to play at LSU, said, hey, there's a steal up here that nobody's finding. He sent him to us, we watched him. He may be one of the better players to come into this conference. A.J. Matthews out of Elkins High School, cornerback. Fine young man. Several NFL scouts had mentioned him to me previously. We had an opportunity. I saw him play high school basketball when he was a freshman in high school, and he was starting on the varsity over at Westbury Christian, and I thought what a fine athlete he was, and we were fortunate enough to get him. Really good football player. Over at Lake Charles, right across the border, and Julian Markintel, inside linebacker, outstanding student, great character guy, really physical football player that will help our football team tremendously. And Dimitri Freeman from Mahia, Texas, fine defensive tackle that's extremely physical, aggressive, does a nice job on single blocks and double team. You'll be proud to have him as a Tiger. And last, defensive tackle out of Bel Air High School, Ike. I cannot pronounce his last name effectively, so I'm just going to let it slide. But Ike is an unbelievable football player. The entire weekend he was here, he said, Coach, I need to make more tackles. I need to sack the quarterback more. Can you move me outside to outside linebacker? I'm like, no, Ike, you stay inside with your hand on the ground. Really unbelievable football player. So we signed 15 young student athletes to the National Letter of Intent. We have 2 commitments on young people that are graduating from their university and then playing their last year or 2 years here at Texas Southern University. We have Dean Kelly from Stillman College, who's a punter, and he will graduate this summer. And we're looking forward to him coming over and competing for a starting job. We have Orlando David from Miami University, former place where I was the head coach, tight end, tremendous football player. I think he'll do a very good job for us. More importantly, I think he's a fine leader. And I think that he will do a tremendous job for some of the young players in which we're bringing in to lead them appropriately to have success. So if there's any questions, please ask and I will answer your questions.
Coach, keeping these kids in Houston is a hard thing to do with all the programs locally, regional, and national. To get these guys to stay home, how big is that for you in this program?
Well, I think it's really outstanding. What we did is that when we hired Dallas Blacklock, he actually created that state for Houston at University of Houston. And some of the players in which have visited University of Houston at camps, he had developed relationships. So he helped us tremendously in helping keep our young student athletes here in the Houston area. The coaches were outstanding. I give praise to the Texas high school coaches for the way in which they help us to keep these young men here in the Houston area and bring them from Dallas, Texas to the Houston area as well. I compliment on them on the efforts in which they gave us.
The kids from North Shore, they obviously come with a championship pedigree. How important is that to bring some championship experience, even though it's on the high school level?
I think it's really important because you have a desire to win. When you go over to North Shore High School and you watch the way they compete during the off season, their fourth quarter program in which they have is tremendous. And it teaches young people how to be successful, how to be leaders, and how to overcome adversity when the fourth quarter hits and you may be down by a touchdown or two. You've worked too hard to lose, and I think they do a tremendous job at North Shore High School.
You didn't have much time to get in these homes. What was the key to getting inside these homes and convincing some of these young men that Texas Southern was the place for them to be?
Well, previously, myself and having recruited the Houston area for over 27 years, Baltimore having coached here in the Houston area over at North Shore High School, Forest Brook High School, which is now consolidated, Dallas Blacklock been in several high schools, and then Coach Elias really leading the charge in recruiting. You know, we really went after them from an academic standpoint and selling them on academics. May it be engineering or the business school. Some guys are looking forward to going to law school, selling them on that, and then selling them on the history of the coaches that are here. Because there's only one coach on our staff that has come from the SWAC. The other coaches have brought great knowledge from all over the country. And they're, you know, the young student athletes are really interested in learning from people that have a lot of vast experience.
What were some of the questions that the athletes asked of you and the coaches?
The main one they asked me was, Coach, what offense are we running? And then when I go up on the board and I go over the different offense the offense in which we're going to run, talking about the New England, they asked me what was a Terry call because they heard Tom Brady make a Terry call. I said, well, it had to be an empty front and they were sliding the front to the right. Tally would be they sliding the front to the left. So they were like, Coach, that's exactly what they did. They slid it to the right. And then just going over the various passing schemes and how we can help them to build upon their athletic ability. The different formations to create mismatch was extremely important to them. From a defensive point of view, the ability to be able to play early, all right? Because some of the things that were important to us was getting defensive linemen. We were fortunate enough to get 2 defensive tackles and 1 defensive end. Opportunity for these young student athletes to come in and play early, and I think that was important to them as well.
Because of the short time, did you have to just get the best athletes you could get, or were you able to focus on some needs that you saw?
No, we focused on our needs because our number 1 need was the offensive line, number 2 was defensive line, number 3 was quarterback, and then we then spread out to the skill positions. And so I came in on, was officially started on the 16th, came in on the 4th, was able to start putting some things together and start making some phone calls. Coach Elias came in on the 16th and followed up with the foundation in which I started. Coaches came in on January the 4th, and then they had to pass the test and they weren't able to go out on the road, and we were only out on the road for about 2.5 weeks. And we hit 8 to 10 schools a day in the Houston area, in the Dallas area, over and across the board over in Louisiana. And then what was really interesting, the number of phone calls that we received along with emails from coaches in the area and coaches across the border. It was tremendous, and it really helped us to give us good direction after we evaluated the young student athletes, gave us great direction on where we should head.
Seeing the success you had in this short time frame, does it make you look at next year and what you could do with the full year of recruiting and getting to know guys?
Well, it really does, because one of the things that happens is that several major universities are calling us to do camps with them this summer. And so we'll have an opportunity to evaluate more student athletes. We may have 250, 500, 1,000, you never know how many young players you're gonna have. So we'll have an opportunity to get an early jump start, offer some young people early. And coming out of spring, we'll know what some of our needs are for next year as well. And so it'll really help us with the relationships we have with the high school coaches in the state of Texas and Louisiana as well.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.